Hey everyone, you are listening to the Self-Awareness Journey podcast. This little banter is about a car ride long and features your hosts, JJ Parker and Melissa Albers. JJ owns a tech company and Melissa has been a coach working with influencers for the last 18 years.
You know what I love doing, Melissa?
What?
Talking about other people.
Ooh, let's do that.
Yeah. Let me get my list out of people we can talk about.
Have I
no, you know
got
what's
a
funny?
story for you?
So the past couple weeks, in my CEO roundtable, we've been a couple of guys have some different problems that they're trying to solve, right?
Yep.
So we've been breaking out into these kind of groups together to help solve these problems, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Which is fun. I like solving problems, and they're not clear, easy problems to solve. So everyone likes to get into these juicy details. But what's funny about it is, this circle of people just start talking about about the problem, about the people, and it just becomes this crazy spider web of conversation. Literally gossip, to the point where you and I run in kind of similar circles, and even my CFOs running in similar circles, and it's just everyone's talking to everyone else.
It's like high school.
Holy crap. It's and it's all for the purposes of our group, it's all in support, right? It's us trying to, because again, the solutions are complicated, so it takes quite a bit of brain power and ideas and conversations to kind of maybe come up with some interesting ways to move forward on it. But I was just amazed how, like you said, it felt like high school.
I know.
Gossiping all over. And here we are all 40, 50, 60 something business professionals. And we're chatting behind the lockers, between classes.
Stopping talking if someone walks by. That's human nature, though.
It is human nature.
Do that. Everybody loves to talk about other people. They just do. Everybody loves to do that.
Yeah, and it's it's an interesting way that even information spreads, right? Even I never hear any family news firsthand. It's always from my aunt to my mom to my wife to me, right?
Oh my gosh, that's the same. I never even thought about that. That's so true. Yeah. It's like the old-fashioned telephone game.
Right.
Stand in a circle. You know that game? Did you ever play that when you were little? You stand in a circle of people and the first person comes up with a statement.
Oh yeah.
And then they whisper it to the person next to them. And then that person has to whisper it to the next person. And it goes around the circle to see if it's the exact same statement at the beginning
totally
as it
botched
was
at the end.
It's never the same.
Well, something about talking about other people makes us feel good.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. I mean, and in a weird way, sometimes even sort of the juicier the gossip, the better it feels. It's so what is that? That's you've got some secret information. You're feel good that you're on the insider track. I mean, it's got to it's got to be something about relationships and knowing something makes you feel closer to someone. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. So, I don't know. I think there's probably a number of reasons. I think one of the reasons is because it makes you feel part of something else. We always talk about we're pack animals, human beings are pack animals. And at the very base cardinal levels.
So if I know a juicy nugget of information about you that no one else knows.
Yes, which I'm sure you do.
And then I'm able to tell somebody else that piece of information that only I know.
Yeah.
right? It kind of signals that I know Melissa better than you know Melissa.
Yes, exactly right. Precisely.
Right?
Yeah.
So the reason why we would share that is because we're sort of like a little bit bragging or signaling that like, hey, I'm closer to this person than you are because I know a piece of information that you don't.
Right. It's a pecking order almost.
Oh, yeah. That's a good way to phrase it.
Yeah. Which is weird, isn't it? When you think about it, but it's so innate to think about that, to be that. It's so innate for us to be that way. You know, it's so funny. Like, as we're talking about this, I was in Target yesterday, and there were 3 young ladies talking together, and they were, the energy of that gossip was through the roof. They were in the makeup section. I was looking for fingernail polish, OPI, in case anyone wondered. Yeah, called Coca-Cola Red. But anyway, side note. So they were sitting in this little cluster, and the one girl said to the others, well, she just doesn't want her boyfriend to know that because she has been talking to, and then she inserted another guy's name. Can't remember who it was now. But anyhow, the funny thing is that there was so much energy in that little hen clutch, right? The minute I walked by, they all stopped talking.
What?
And the girl who had just made that, pronouncement looked at me and then looked down at the floor. She felt guilty.
Yeah.
It was
of course.
It was so funny. It was like,
no one likes getting called out on their gossip.
But all I did was walk by. She already knew she was in full cry. She knew. She knew.
You're just like a random person at the Target.
Just looking for my darn fingernail polish. Leave me alone. Keep me out of this. Although, wait, that sounds kind of good. What's going on?
Keep me out. Yeah, right. Can I join in?
What's going on? Cool. But I started to laugh because I thought, oh my goodness, these girls. I mean, that's what I did. I started reflecting what that was like, that energy. Because in high school, it is the exact same thing. Only the energy is more immature and higher. There's just a lot more of it, right? There's just a whole lot more of it going around.
Well, right. It starts early like that, doesn't it?
Oh, yes. Right? Yeah.
So, like, so that you talk about like energy, right? I mean, I think we can all recognize that energy, right? And we get sucked into it. Like something about it just sucks everybody in.
I know. Okay. At work, 2 people can be talking. And they might be talking about something completely unrelated. You might walk by and think, they're talking about me. I know they are. Right? So we're constantly looking for it. We're constantly looking for it in our environments.
Oh, yeah. Some people are definitely way more paranoid about people talking, or paranoid maybe not the wrong word, but sensitive, aware. Yeah. About people talking about them. So they will actually come off as kind of paranoid. Yeah.
And usually the people that have that much awareness are the ones who are the most interested in the gossip.
That's there you go. Self-awareness from Melissa. If you're paranoid about people talking about you, you're the one who's talking about people.
It's true. It's so true. Yeah. I mean, you can't notice something in other people unless you yourself have it. That's why I think it's funny. I mean, like, even the 2 of us, like, we profess to be, we are great professional people, but we love a good gossip.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Like, well, what do you think people get out of a good gossip? Like, what do you think is in it for them?
Again, I think, like, fundamentally, I think it is sort of that, like you said, is like that pecking order, that like, but sometimes actually, like, it's just somehow it's like entertaining.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Like,
so that's another component.
Another
is entertaining
component of like gossipy talking about other people, is like, it's a great storytelling. It's like great subject for storytelling. And I think fundamentally, like, people are storytellers.
Yep. Yes.
So like your story about going to Target and getting nail polish isn't that fun. your story about going to Target and hearing people gossip about like someone's boyfriend, way more fun, right?
It's awesome.
Like there's more drama in it. It's actually like probably easier for us to make like a fun story about someone else and their actions.
That's so true.
The other thing is people are judgy. And
That's right.
They like judging other people, and talking about other people is like the best forum to judge other people's actions.
Yeah.
And everything.
So what do you think is at the root of that?
At the root of judging?
Judging other people.
That's a good question.
Do you know what I think it is? We are so wanting to feel good. That if we can know anybody that's not as well off or in the best standing or as we are, fill in the blank on whatever that is, if we know somebody that's not as good as us, then we're better. See, we're not so bad. We're not so bad. Yeah. So I think a lot of it is also like self-preservation, like trying to make yourself feel good.
Yeah, like I feel crappy, but at least my boyfriend's not cheating on me like Trudy's boyfriend is.
Exactly.
Or like whatever, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah. Well, at least my best friend would never go talking behind my back like that. I mean, there's a litany, right? It's crazy. It's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah. So this is like when you get deeper about things, right? We talk about like comparing mind.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Yep. How to me, like the path to happiness is like getting that comparing mind to settle down, right?
Yep.
Less judgment, less comparing. But there's something so fun about diving into comparing. Like our brain just loves comparing, and you talk about our brain as a tool, right? And one of its great powers is its ability to compare things.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what else I think happens too? I wonder, like I'm not saying, I just wonder if also it gives us a break from thinking about ourselves. Like when we're focusing on someone else and somebody else's issues, whatever they may be, it gives us a break from the constant self-evaluation, which most of us do.
Oh yeah, I like this. This is great because like if we're constantly comparing and judging, if we're just by ourselves, we're just constantly comparing and judging ourselves, which is exhausting.
It is, but that's what we do.
And then we can take a temporary vacation from that and judge other people.
Right. And you know what? Here's the other part. So now we talk about the authentic versus the actor self. The authentic person would say, in this moment, like you and I are, is like, yeah, we do it too. We all do it. Like, it's just authentically the way humans are. We don't know why. It probably isn't the best thing. Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it probably isn't very helpful. Lots of times it isn't very helpful.
Yeah, lots of times.
That's the authentic measurement. Now, the actor self says, oh, I wasn't really doing that. Or the actor self says, well, I'm just doing it because I want to help.
Yeah.
You know, this is helpful for me to do this. It's helpful for me to talk to so-and-so and so-and-so about so-and-so's boyfriend. You know, like I think we do.
It's like you mask it or you veil it like as a positive when it's really just not helpful for anybody.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So, although, is there any part of this that helps you, like, you know, we're talking about kind of like almost like we're exaggerating some of
course, we're being a little
stuff, right?
kitschy. Yeah.
In a lot of ways, like, does part of it actually help us kind of like understand what we think, understand how we want relationships to be with other people, right? Because if you might hear a story about like you know, something that happened at work and it was like, oh yeah, we had this kind of situation happen with a customer and this is how Bob handled it.
Yeah.
Now, let's think about, did Bob handle it in the right way, or could he have come at it in a slightly different way? How could I have handled it? And could there be positive out of that sort of like little gossip interaction where it's like, we're not really judging the behavior, but we're actually just trying to learn.
Observe
versus
it
judging. And learn from it and say like, hey, if we did it a different way, could we serve the customer better? Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right.
And more in an analytical way, in a less kind of sort of gossipy way.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to the observe, not judge.
Yeah.
The other thing I think happens a lot of times when we find ourselves in the middle of a gossip.
The key there is not saying Bob messed that sale up.
Yeah.
We need to say like, hey, let's look at how Bob took care of that sale. Let's take care of that customer. Maybe we do it a different way. Yeah. And not judgy way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And make it all about the observation instead of the judgment.
Yeah.
Right. Because the judgment's laced with all sorts of negativity and heavy energy. The observation is, well, this is what happened, and there's different ways next time.
Yeah.
To approach it.
Yeah.
And it's okay. We all make mistakes.
Yeah.
The other thing I think that, go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I'm just so like stuck on this like one little like bit. I like this part because it's very tactical, right? But,
good. Because I was just going to move us into totally talking about energy.
Well, I know you can do that. Just 1 second. So like we can analyze the situation, but like the awareness part for me, like I just wanted to like close that part off with the awareness part.
Yes.
When you're talking about how Bob handled a sale, and you can feel when it shifts into that judgy mode, 100%. And you might say like, oh yeah, well I totally could have closed that deal. Bob kind of like messed that one up.
Yeah.
And you actually kind of get that good feeling, right? Because like we're sort of wired for that, like we were saying before, right? We're kind of wired for that pecking order thing. It's just interesting to think about when you're in that gossipy kind of situation, if it starts feeling good, that might actually be the sign that you're going the wrong way.
Well, if it's legitimate feeling for the right reason, right?
I mean, I think just like that would be a thing I would have people think about. If you kind of like sucked into the energy and you kind of start amping up a little bit.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like, that might be the signal that you should stop.
Yes.
Because I recognize that at work all the time. When I start kind of getting sucked into that energy, I often am like, whoa, nope. This is not a thing I participate in. I need to step back from this, right?
Yeah. I think, too, it can be something very base cause. Like a lot of times when we're gossiping about somebody, it's because they have done something or they are something that we recognize in ourselves that we do not like. And that feeling sits in us, that feeling of discord inside of us. Like, I don't like when I am this way. And now look at Bob's that way. Like, Bob is so that way. And that just is so rough. That's terrible. And Bob's terrible. And what we're actually trying to do is displace the feelings we have about ourselves onto Bob, because it's so much easier to express that and have a judgment about someone else. Because, God forbid we would ever admit how strongly we're judging ourselves. Right?
Yeah. All right, switch to energy. Like I didn't realize that this like sort of benign topic would uncover so many like good nuggets of
it's really
self-awareness.
Good, right? Well, here's the thing. Like as I would say in any of my coaching conversations, when we get to this part about something happen and you notice it on the outside, you have a choice every single moment to just shift something even 5 degrees and make a big difference, right? So even in that moment, like where you're talking about where everybody's going after Bob and it starts to feel kind of fun, I think that the emotion is what you can change, which is exactly what you said, shifting the energy. So rather than talking about someone and having the energy of it being heavy or dark or not helpful, the very best thing that you can do if you truly are wanting to help somebody. So like if you're in this moment of having these conversations and it is a pure desire to help somebody, the very best thing that you can do for that person is to see them doing well. To push out the energy and picture them doing really, really well. Even people talking about we've used the word gossip, but even talking about somebody else, let's say somebody is sick and everybody's talking about, oh, did you hear so-and-so is sick? So-and-so is sick. That is creating an energy that isn't helping that other person. So if you are generally wanting to be helpful, the way to shift that is to constantly picture that person being well. Every single time you think about them, every single time you think about the topic, picture it going well. And that can start to shift the energy into a more positive output and input. Like it makes you feel better doing that as well.
Yeah. I was just thinking like whatever here is like, oh, like so-and-so's sick. Well, they eat too much gluten.
Yeah.
If they just cut out sugar.
Yes. Exactly. Yes. Yes. Or even
we do that all the time, right?
I know.
Like we jump to these like kind of ridiculous solutions. Like it's helpful. Right?
I know.
Like I think
never
part
exercise.
of it is like fundamentally people want to be helpful, right?
Yes. Yes.
And
fear.
Part of this is like an attempt to be helpful, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of talk about gossip as like a net, kind of in a negative way, but I think a lot of times, like the true intent is help.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, it doesn't put out the right energy.
Yeah, it's the energy behind the conversations, the energy behind your thoughts. And if your energy is based in fear, like, because that's what people do, like they'll diagnose, oh, so-and-so is sick. Well, if they just would stop eating so much sugar, what that is, that instant reaction is fear. Yikes. I don't want that to happen to me. Yikes. I don't want anything to happen to that person because I love them. Well, if they would have just done this, which then pushes out dark energy rather than, oh, that's too bad. Well, I'm going to see them doing really well. I'm going to see them turning around. And that is something that we can practice really quite easily. Even if we have a hard time stopping talking about other people, we can certainly shift the energy in which we do it internally. And we don't have to tell anybody we're doing that. We don't have to make any big overtures. We can just very quietly shift 5 degrees and it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. What, how do you we talked about kind of getting sucked in the energy, and then you're talking about like changing the energy you're pushing out. I'm just thinking through like how do we, again, like part of this is like recognizing when we're getting sucked in.
Yep.
Then changing the way we're thinking about it. Right. And pushing out this other energy. Like, do you have any tips for stopping that train?
Yeah, yes, actually I can tell you what I've done. And again, it's just a really common coaching conversation is you have to notice your energy first. And you'll notice when you start getting amped up. You can tell when you're starting to get excited. That feeling in your body sits there and you go, ooh, like you can feel yourself lock and loading, right? Like, oh yeah, like I'm in for the ride. As soon as you feel that feeling, that's your place to go, oh, I recognize this feeling. This is that feeling that I get, right? As I'm really engaged. And I know what's on the other side of this is I feel guilty. So I'm going to change that. Like this feeling of, ooh, I'm really invested. Like, I just want to gossip. I just want to talk about, I just want to know what's going on. Even if it's not gossip, it's like, oh, do you know something? Like, I want to hear what it is. Like that energy of wanting that so much has a feeling inside of your body. And what is it? It sort of gets you leaning forward in your chair. It starts making you walk towards other people. Like, what is that? And as soon as you feel that, recognize, oh, there it is again. And thank your system for showing it to you. Like, oh, thank you for showing me that. Like, I'm so excited. I, in the moment, noticed that that's what I was doing. Like, congratulate yourself. Feel good about that. And then when you're in that spirit of sort of having that good feeling, extend it out to the other people. You know what? I'm just gonna assume that's all goodwill. And I hope that person's doing well. So I think it's all within that. It's inside, right? And you don't have to say anything. This isn't about doing or going and writing something down or acting different. It's nothing. It's all inside activity.
When you're talking, like, that so applies to work, like that whole, like, being in the loop, right?
I know, people love it.
Like the amount of paranoia people get for not feeling like they're in the loop.
Totally agree.
Like most of my job is just to make sure everyone feels like they're in the loop.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
I mean, it is right? Because then if not, people feel they don't feel safe. They don't feel comfortable. They get scared. All sorts of craziness starts acting out. Yeah. And so like very clear communication, right? From an organization perspective is key.
Yeah, that is key. And frequent. Little and frequent.
Yes.
Little and frequent, Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with you. That's it is true. It's like, again, it leads people to being in partnership with others and makes us feel safe when we're in a group.
All right. Who else do we have to talk about?
I don't know. Give me a couple minutes.
We didn't actually call anyone out specifically. Not about other people. Well, I don't know. This is a fun conversation. I think there's so many opportunities to practice.
Oh, I know.
Noticing when you're kind of getting sucked in to that gossip, and what you're and what is the thing you're actually seeking when you're getting sucked in, and then kind of stopping and changing your energy around that topic. I think all those things are really great things, and there's so many opportunities to practice every single day.
I know. And at bare minimum, if you're having a hard time understanding your own process, and then you're all of a sudden up to your neck, and you have been for half an hour or however long it's been, you can easily still shift your energy and just go, oh, I've been doing that. You know what? I really wish that person well. I hope that person heals. I hope that person feels better. And every time I think about it, I'm going to do that. So you can always start there. We hope that you've enjoyed today's episode. Our mission is to help people become happier and more effective by gaining insight into their own thoughts and feelings. We'd love your support. First, share this podcast with anyone you think might enjoy it. Second, leave us a rating or review on your favorite podcast site. This helps others discover the podcast so we can reach more people. And third, sign up for our newsletter at theselfawarenessjourney.com. This will help us communicate better with you and build our community. Thank you so much for joining us in the Self-Awareness Journey. We'll see you next week.